Welcome back to another edition of Classic Model Trains. I'm Ron. This week's episode, we are working on a pre-war American Flyer. This one's not just any American Flyer. It is a 3-rail O-gauge. It's a 556 royal blue passenger set. But this one's got extra features, bonus features. It's got a chugging tender, and it's got a whistling baggage car. None of it works, and it's pretty hammered out, as you can see from the thumbnail. Let's get into this and take a look at it and see if we can get it running again. Today's little enjoyment is this. This is an American Flyer. It's a royal blue. But look at this. This is an O-gauge, 3-rail O-gauge. We can't fix that. It looks nasty. Now I've been trying to find one of these shells right here. This is Locomotive number 556. And I've been unable to find one. But I got this one sent in to me. And I was online reading, and they say that the 350 shell is the same shell as the 556 shell. Is it? It's hard to tell. But I'm willing to give it everything I got. I know that they didn't. If it doesn't fit, then I guess we'll be redoing this royal blue right here. But the reason I want to do this O-gauge one is because it has a tender that does something. I thought it was a smoking tender, but there's no hose coming out of it. And then this freight car right here, it's got something inside of it that does something too. Maybe one chuffs and one whistles or this or that, but this is exciting. So I want to see what we can do about getting this going. So I want to swap these things. There's 2 bolts under here and here, and this one had the same thing. You see, this shell is hammered, and it even fell apart more when I tried to take this out. This is riveted into the body, and that creates some problems. If this linkage right here is the same length as this one, then I think I might still be able to continue on with this. Guessing from center to center, that much it is. 155/64. You know, I got to tell you that metric system, that millimeter stuff, sure seems like a good idea. So I can take these nuts out, and I can swap this shell over. So now that we just measured and see that linkage is the same, if I can get, oh God, that thing is just brittle. We want this out. Oh, there we go. Little thing. Little washer. So there, oh, that's too bad. This one on this side. Oh, here I thought it was going to be really tough. It wasn't. Another rod headlight. Looks like it just comes off right there. What is that? Dang it. I hate it when things are just falling out when I'm not looking. It makes it hard to work on. Get under here. Lift this up. There it is. So this poor shell has seen better times. Of course, I do want to salvage this linkage off there. Everything else I can. We'll save that for off cam. I'll do that on Sunday. We got this, and then this weight, it was sitting, and I believe it was sitting right there. So now the big question is to get this one apart and see if that'll fit in the shell. If it ain't, then our video is done. What is it, metric? Gee, this is 1/4 inch. That eccentric is in the way. I like how they're timed. I didn't notice that on the other one. The little square in there. Yeah, look at that. For timing that stuff. Nice. Spacer fell out, of course. That spacer right in there. All right, we know where it's at. We're doing good. Wow. Oh, rounding it off. I've been packing these around for years. They call them tune-up wrenches for back in the day working on distributors. So, you know, you can tell how long they've been sitting around now, huh? Distributors. Just, there it is. Just some. That's all I wanted. Get this front pilot out of here. The original one didn't have one at all. Because it was broken out. 2 screws. Now my concern is if the wheels are going to be the same size. Get that little feller out of the way. Get these 2 out right here. These are in slides up in the front. Interesting enough. Get our juice back here, the coupler that comes up from the tender is what they use for the S-gauge stuff. We won't be needing that on this one. We still got to get it out of the way to get this out, get this headlight out now. And there we have a royal blue shell. Here's the S-gauge royal blue motor power assembly. And here comes the big one. Is this going to fit in here? We'll leave the weight off for now. I just want to get a rough estimate here. We got these two tabs here and here. They got to line up on this. Holy moly. I think it's going to work. We're going to be able to just slip that right in. There's another one of these things. They fell out and I didn't even see where they came from. I believe I'm going to be able to do this. Super exciting. Well, that is fantastic. Now that this is off, of course, it's going to get scrubbed up in the sink with the toothbrush and the Dawn dish soap. Toweled off, I'll probably also take the brush after it. Kind of bring that back around. Do I have a blue Sharpie? I wonder if I can blue Sharpie those nicks. Who knows? Oh, we got just a little bit of a bend right in there. This is fantastic. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. I didn't try it with this in there. That adds a significant amount of weight. We'll try it upon the assembly. Think this thing even works? It's got that dang screwdriver in it, so you can't even freewheel it. Just for fun, let's see if it works. We got the old AC transformer set up here. What can we expect out of it? I wanted more. I really... Okay. Well, that's too bad. So the motor ain't turning, but the E-unit's doing its thing. This tender is supposed to be a chugger. That's what they call it, a chugger tender. I hear nothing. There's a switch on the bottom. What's it do? I hear nothing. Dang it. Well, 2 for 2. And this car is supposed to be a whistler. Except for it's stuck on all the time. I'm not doing anything. Well, so what is that? A 0.5 out of, see the loco, no. Tender, no. 2 point, okay. We got a lot of work ahead of us. So this is an AC unit here. They got the all the wires don't look like they're the easiest thing to get around. Gotta use our big boy screwdriver. Get these screws out of the back here. Use this because my fingers are big. Oh my goodness. Is that a screw or what? Jeez. Okay. Well, there's why the motor wasn't working. There ain't a brush in this thing. Bummer. There's a bushing, which goes in the end of that. I hope they weren't running it on the brush springs. Just irresponsible. Unscrew this out of here. And is this thing covered with grease or what? Holy moly. And that's everywhere right there. We might have to draw a diagram here in case I break something. I think I'm going to stop and do that right away because I can see it now. But if we don't do it now and I break something off or 2 wires at the same time off, we're buggered up. So this right here is what the boys in the graphics department come up with. They got real creative and even went with 2 colors. And all we did was just traced where the wires go. There's a 2 fingers down here. You can see there's 2 connections being drawn off by these. There's 2 fingers up here, this board. Just traced, there's 2 connections here. I traced them here. And I just draw a simple little map where everything goes to. Here's the electromagnet for this right here. Brush holders right back here. E-unit right there. And then the wheels front is up this way. The bulb. Pretty straightforward. That's a worst case scenario type of device right there. If something goes horribly, horribly wrong. Now we're going to take, looks like these 2 screws out here. And that one's got way too big of a lock washer on it. Another screw like that. So this gets almost everything out but whatever's coming off of our pickup. So let's get down under here and see, because we're going to have to clean wheel bearings and axles, I'm sure. Oh, gear. Look at that. Oh, okay. It's really not that bad. Little fella right there. These little guys. What do we have? It's right there. I want to desolder that so we can get this thing apart and work on it a little better. A little bit of heat here. Come on. Can't see where they wired it around at. So we're going to use some solder wick on it. This will pick up, make all the solder disappear. So they brought it in and they just bent it over a little bit. And that's what we're trying to get. Come on now. They do solder stuff good back then. Come out, come out. There it is. Pull this out there. There's our electronics. And here's this nasty thing. I don't know what this screw's doing right here. It looks like it might have held on a front pilot. And if it did, then that means it's different than the way that the 350 is. Can we just those aren't 1/4 inch. There's another. I think this came off the end of the motor. Maybe. Yes, it did. So it was sitting right there. This thing is absolutely filthy. I think we're going to warm up the ultrasonic cleaner. Guys have been wondering how we use that, so it's just time, I believe. I'm probably going to strip these side rods off so we can clean it one more better. 3/16 right there. Get the ultrasonic warming up and get that in there because, whooey, is this nasty. I thought this locomotive, I knew it was a pre-war, and I knew it was an O gauge, and I thought it was a 1936 to 1939-ish kind of. So I decided to go online and do some research and digging around, and I found this website, clintjeffries.com. But he has every pre-war catalog and post-war, and a lot of pre-wars for Lionel and American Flyer and stuff like that. I'm going to put here's a web address right here. I'm going to put it also down in the description. You guys got to check this out. Full, complete catalog. So you click the button and the page flips like this and makes a page sound. Oh, it's just the bomb. Very nice. Come to find out, this is a 1941 set. The chugging tender and the whistling baggage car are options. You have to buy those separately. You get the set with a non-whistling baggage car and a non-chugging tender, and then you buy the tender and the chugger. I couldn't find anything more about it, and by the time I got to the 1946 catalog, post-war, all their O-gauge stuff was gone. So it looks like American Flyer stopped making O. You know, it's only available in pre-war, no post-war. Oh, 3-rail. It's kind of a downer, but it makes it easy to figure out what era it's from. Let's get back into it. We got the side rods all off. We're going to put it in a 1-gallon bag, and then I'm going to cover it up with the full strength simple green. Now guys keep telling me that they've got, oh, you need to try this, you need to try this. Well, you know, we've all got our favorite brand of oil. We've all got our favorite brand of, this stuff's never let me down, is what I'm trying to say. So why do we do this? Well, we get to the thing, and I've got fresh water in it. And if I was just to use degreaser in there, it would get filthy really fast. And then you'd have to clean it. The ultrasonic vibrations can go through the bag because the liquid is what does it and do its job. You see how we can kind of see, you can still see in there. Once this is all said and done, we won't be able to. Now I've warmed this one up to 122 degrees. What I just put in there is not. So I'm going to give it 10-15 minutes to warm up that liquid because heat helps with grease to go away. Why do I have this one? There's one very specific reason why I chose this particular ultrasonic cleaner. It's got mechanical dials on it. A lot of them have digital beep, 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 and one bump, one jar, one ultrasonic vibration, who knows, then it's done. Most of us can't diagnose electronic components. This here, I could pull this timer out because I'm sure it's only got 2 wires going to it, and I could put a bathroom fan timer in right there if I felt like. Mechanical thermostats like this, It's very simple. This is easy to fix if I needed to. If the ultrasonic goes away, of course I can't fix that, but at least I can get maybe a year more out of this sweet, sweet made in China ultrasonic cleaner. This one here is like a 3-liter or something. It's big. This is like, for those of you that cooked back in the day, this is like a half a lid. 14 by 4. It's big. I got some more stuff though. I'm going to put the valve gear in at this time, and I got this stuff I could put in. I got the armature, this. I'm going to put the electronics in a bag and clean them. Yeah, because they don't care. There's nothing in here that's going to get hurt by a little water. Just dry it off when you're said and done so it doesn't rust. There's your key right there. After we've let everything sit in there and sufficiently warm up, we're going to twist the wick on it. Give it about 7 minutes. Because if you do too well, there's nothing in there that's got any paint on it for the most part. The pilots do. The side of the wheels, we can redo that. Oh, you bastard. Sure. Gotta give it the Fonzie bump. And after a little bit of time, what do we have? See how filthy that bag is? You can't even hardly see in there. Yeah. So let's go see if we've got a clean chassis. I like buckets. So that way something fell off, it doesn't go down the drain. What does this look like? I've seen better. We're gonna run that again. That had 7 minutes on it. We're gonna do it some more. How about the other stuff though? I think this bag here has got the electronics in it. That looks nice. Yep, nothing wrong with those. So we'll rinse these, get them dried up. Got our armature and whatnot in this. Front trucks completely took the paint off the side, which I knew would happen. Ooh, that's hot. Our lower pickup, armature, and it's one thrust washer. Real nice indeed. This bag here's got all our valving in it. All them little tiny screws and bushings and whatnot. So we're gonna use a screen and we're gonna pour the contents into that. So hopefully I don't lose anything. We got a bucket going on and then all of our extra juice, we put it back in the bucket. And then at the end of the session, we kind of put it back in the bottle. Let's do that chassis one more time. Here comes that chassis. Look how nasty that stuff is. Oh man. So you can use it several times. Yeah, that is a lot better than sitting here for hours and hours with a Q-tip and the odorless mineral spirits. It's got weight down under here. This thing is really designed well. Let this dry up and then we can get started on the reassembly process. This E-unit in here has got some funk on it. So we got to take the fiberglass pencil and we got to clean up all these little drums in here very carefully. I want to get that black trace that's off there. I'm holding down on this lever so it doesn't roll back and forth. Then when I want to roll it, we're just grabbing a hold of it. Roll it with the screwdriver, twist it with this. Dirty, icky. Get this all cleaned up. Now our chassis here is a very boring looking, burned out white. And it's been rinsed off, so it's not, remnants from the soap. But we've pulled all the oil out of that metal. And some of the old timers tell me you can put a little bit of 3M on her, and it's supposed to kind of bring them back around. So this was in the Lionel books back in the day. You don't want a bunch, just some. I don't know. And then you got to kind of work it into everything and get it so that it's black again. And this seems kind of counterintuitive. They said not much though. That's I think the key. You don't want puddles of it standing. Seems like this is going to take some time too. And that looks kind of better already. You can kind of, maybe I can do some here and then probably end up spreading this all over the whole thing if I can. It's like a dab will do you. A little goes a long way. Something like that. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What do you guys do? Somebody just mentioned this to me a little bit ago. It's like, well, I'll try it, And I know it's not like a bronze bushing where it'll absorb the oil, but I still think it's the little goes a long way. So let me keep working on this and see what we get. Dumpster, do you want to go outside? You look like you want to go out the door? Out the door, over, yes? Okay. I'd say that looks better. And it's got that smell like your freshly oiled sidearm. So I put it on, I put the oil in the toothbrush and I went all over it, and then it was like way a lot. So then I used this cloth and I brushed it off, and then I'd use this and I'd work the wheels over and kind of get the oil that was in between the spokes up onto the disc, and then I'd wipe it off again. And I just kind of kept doing it until we had kind of a consistently looking thing that didn't seem to look like it had a whole bunch of Earl all over the thing. What's it going to do? Is it going to evaporate? Now, will it soak in? I don't think so. But it's going to go away, because that's why we got to keep oiling stuff, is because it goes someplace else. So getting back to putting this thing together, we got the drum cleaned, and we're going to work on getting 2 screws in it right there. Now I see why they only had 1 lock washer on it. That's all the room they got. Alrighty, I like this lever because all it does is just keeps that plate from moving. It doesn't make any electrical connection or disconnection. It just mechanically locks it in gear. This wire went down through here to go to the pickups. This was back here like this. Let's check this commutator from here to here. 1.2, from here to here. 1.2, from here to here. 1.3. Okay, I'm gonna put that back into service. Clean it up, polish it here with the fiberglass pencil. Time for some Super Lube! Multi-purpose synthetic grease. Although there's no plastic on this thing, so you really wouldn't need synthetic. But, you know, why have 2 different kinds laying around? We've got this area right down here, which is like a thrust area. And right here is the bushing where this is going to run. And then we've only got this one chance to try to oil up this worm gear right here. Get the thrust washer in there. This is going to come in back here, and it's going to screw. Well, now it won't, because there's no. Now we got this. Ultimately, I'd like to pull the brushes out and have them on the outside here waiting to drop a brush in, and then I could just close them up. And I've not encountered pre-war brushes, so this is something kind of new to me. Pre-war brush springs. Well, I got one of them in there. Oddly enough, it's got like a wear indicator on it where these wires stick out. So you know your brush, it's got the line on it. So we put it in there and we line up the line straight up and down. Fold this back around in there. Then you can see this tab right here. This is the spring that's got the spring that springs the spring. And it's got to be up over here. It's got to be on the other side. So you grab a hold of it, you jackleg it around like this, and then you bend it up and you let it go, and then it sits like that and makes spring pressure. Is that the best way to go about doing this? Probably not, but does it work? Sort of. Pre-war. You know, the boys didn't have the fancy stuff like they do now. And we got spring pressure on both of our springs. Line it up in that little groove and make sure that it's in the groove. Yeah, those things are sticking out. Too funny. I want to put a little grease on this down under here. We're gonna roll it. Oh man, you really got a spinner too. Little grease on the gear, spinner some more. Get a chance to get this all lubed up. Now before I put this brush holder on, I did grease the end of the armature shaft. Well, that doesn't have any end play at all. And then it does happen to have a wick right here. We got to get ready to solder that back on. That looks like what we're looking for right there. We got to oil our axles. I'm getting caution here a little bit. Drip it in. Should have done that before I hooked the motor up. Same over on this side. Drip it in, let it roll downhill. I think these little guys that look like this went in here. Another one right in here. Which leaves an interesting gap right there. I guess I got to work on getting these side rods on now. They cleaned up really, really nice. These are going to have the smaller 3/16 ones. These are touchy. You don't want to cross thread them. I got to tell you, I'm no pro, but I do believe that this thing is ready to run. It would go down the track like this. Give these guys just a little juice before we get going. Let's just see what it does. A little juice to her. And we got the exact same thing going on. Except for this time we got brushes in it. The armature spins free enough. But I don't get any magnetic field coming in right here. You can see the drum turning. So it's doing what it's supposed to. But I don't think we're getting juice to the electromagnet. Got to diagnose that. I always like to think out loud when I'm doing this and I say things. It's like, well, maybe it's this, well, maybe it's this, well, maybe it's this. Well, here we've had to get over to the bench to do a little work on this. And it turns out there's a finger right here that when I do this, we get a little action Jackson. And that's powering up one of the brushes. So then it won't go the other direction. I don't even know why it was working. So them fingers aren't touching all the way. And how does a guy get in there to get them fingers to do more? I see I can take it off by straightening this, lifting this. Maybe the finger's like really, really dirty. Boy, if I break this, I think we're almost all done then. Here, okay. More room. They look like they've been heated a lot, like shorted out, or they're discolored. I just finished servicing these top ones here, cleaning them up, cleaned the drum again, although it was clean. Here's another really good shot of it. And then I pulled this one off the front, and look at the way that these two fingers are. This one's got a lot of down pressure, this one doesn't. And if you look at them, you can see that they've been heated up. So somebody just poured the iron to this thing and just let it buck. So we're gonna clean up these two fingers, and we're gonna get these knuckles both to be the same pushing down-edness. I do have to say, working on one of these, electromechanical reversing unit, only Lionel has the E units because that's their trademark name for it. This is a lot easier to work on. I mean, you can really get in here and do things to it. Plus the mechanical lockout instead of the electromechanical one. Oh my goodness. Heaven. I'm in heaven. Oh. We're gonna do that to these. Let's see if we can get those fixed. And after just a short 10 minutes, bending fingers and cleaning them up, got ourselves a runner. These side rods have some rust on them. I am going to see if I can take some Brasso after them and polish them up. Where's my pad? I need a pad right here now. This body's turning out so nice. I gotta have something to set it on. Here we go. So I'm gonna Brasso those and come back and show you how it might have come out, because we want it to be pretty looking. Turns out these were a little more boogered up than I thought. I thought they just had a little surface rust on them. I always think that, but they're pitted and everything else. I used the Dremel with the wire brush on them and got the rusty stuff off. But now they're not so much, and I want them more. I bought this off the Amazon, polishing compound. And I've got this pad here I'm going to put on the old Dremel and see if I can the whole thing and make it prettier. See how this works. Turns out that this thing here, you put this weight in, and it's got this notch right there on the side. There's a notch in this body that holds that in place. So you got these two areas right here, and you put this, you drop this in, and you fart around, and you try to slide the back body mounts backwards, and then you get it, and then there, these are lined up here. The back is where it's supposed to be. We'll put these screws in, and then we can continue on with our drive rods and things. Looking good. So, oh man, this thing weighs like 5 pounds, I swear. It is so heavy. Okay, 2 screws in there, and it's fighting. Get them both started before you crank them down. Seems that everything is in there. Got me a new light bulb in there. What kind of light bulb did I even put in? One that looked like the one that I needed. Here, alrighty. Future me coming at you, and I'm trying to edit this thing together right now. I had, this is the first time I've ever done this. We're taking a pre-war O-gauge and trying to put a post-war S-gauge shell on it. Mistakes were made. And I filmed and I filmed these mistakes, and then I realized the mistake, and then I had to go back and do everything again. And it's just best to just take the stuff, all the mistakes, and just throw them on the ground and just start over and show you what I did to get this valve gear on, because it was an absolute nightmare. So we're going to do an insert here, show you what I ended up doing for the valve gear. Here it is in its completed state. I probably got these on wrong. What's that one doing? Facing up? That one's facing up. Is this thing even quartered? Well, sure it is. These eccentrics that were on the body, you know, right here, this part right here. Well, the S-gauge one, you can see that it's completely straight. And the O-gauge one, this eccentric right here, oh, this part, we're down over here. This eccentric right here, it comes out. It's got to get wider to allow for these main rods. Main rod? This rod. Because it's got to fit around the wider wheels. And it was so simple, but I thought it and did everything wrong that I could and had to go back and correct it. But we did take a little Dremel with the little die grinder, the little ball tip, and zing these rivets out right here. And I put a 256 and a nut in. Because I don't have chrome. I don't have little rivets like that. And you got to make sure you get these eccentric cranks on. So I just sat here and I spun this, and it took like 8 minutes because it kept binding up. I thought I had these set up right, and I didn't. And then the rods would come up and they'd hit over here and it would bind in here. But I do believe that we finally have got a locomotive that I could put on the rails, and it's going to move back and forth without nothing binding up. But yep, you can put a 350 shell on a 556 three rail O-gauge chassis, because there it is right there. Downside is I got to find a truck. I thought I was going to put the original truck on, and I was brain farting because I didn't realize that I had an S-gauge truck and an O-gauge. And we need to have a truck back here too. So I have to go root through my stuff. Hopefully I might have something that'll work. This is a 462. I might have to order some off of eBay, but we do have a running loco. Let's see what it looks like. We're getting ready to run this thing down the track, and I've spent 3-4 hours on the thing so far. I was curious on what these things were going for, this complete set. It's like, is it worth it or not? So I got onto eBay and I went into the sold portions of it, and I found these ones right here. And although they're looking like they're bringing in pretty decent numbers, I'd always kind of was hoping that maybe it brought in more because, you know, pre-war. And it just seems like all the prices are just bottoming out on this stuff. Just standalone locos are bringing in a lot, but the complete set, not so much. What do? I guess you just keep doing it because it's a labor of love. Oh, since we've got the video stopped right now, guess this is a good enough time to do this week's Classic Model Trains Classic Model of the Week. You guys know who this is? If you do, put it in the comments down below. If you don't, hang out to the end. I'll let you know who it is. Let's take a look at this thing running down the rails. Oh, light bulb's working. Yes. Yes. That makes me quite happy. Looks ugly as sin. Missing its trucks. Nice. I'm gonna keep telling myself they're not creepers. I need to run out. Stupendous. That took forever to get that dang thing moving, I tell ya. Let's get into that chugging tender and see what it's going to take to get it doing what it's supposed to do. This here tender is supposed to be what they call a chugger. It's supposed to make noises. And it looks like it's been into quite a bit because these tabs, they're all bent up. We got to get these standing up, but man, they've been hammered. Golly. Ain't that cute. Probably doesn't have any brushes in it, just like the last one. Oh, the chugger part isn't. Oh, there we go. Let's fix these tabs, make them straight and square and level and plumb. So that way when we bend them over, they'll be better. Let's get some juice to this track so we can diagnose this thing here. Well, I seen that it was sort of trying to. I don't think there's any brushes in that thing. We're going to take this wire off right here so we can get this unit out of the chassis. A couple screws under here. This one, these two pieces parts should be coming out. One device. Here's our piston. This thing here is kind of hammered. Back in the old days, these would be like a leather type of thing. This screw here, yes, with a lock washer. It's going to pull our motor out. Now this is going to have to be hand washed because you can't put it in the ultrasonic cleaner or it will strip the paint off. True story. There's no paint on this. We should be able to do that to this. No problem. Let's get this brush housing off right here. 7-mile long bolt. What's that? What just fell out? Yep, one brush is gone. This will be the ground coming in right here. Looks like they did try to run it with just that spring because that is buggered up also. And I'm going to ultrasonic all of this. That will expedite our cleaning process for sure. We've been cleaning up this components that came out of the ultrasonic cleaner. This here's a piece of leather. And back in the old days, whenever you wanted something like this, they used them as a pump a lot, as a diaphragm, and they worked really well, but you oil them. This one had heavy grease on it. And then this little echo chamber here was really filthy, and it's got this baffle that goes down inside here. I took this apart so I can clean the inside. Straight squared away in here, and then there goes down into the other side, and oh, it's quite the marvel. We'll push that diaphragm in until right there, I believe. Yeah, sure. I cleaned up the commutator and I tested it, and it's all working well. All this does is connect and disconnect the ground circuit. Everything is good over here. We're getting ready to reassemble this whole thing. Give her a little touch of the Earl over on this side. Get these tightened up, but not too tight. Break that bake light right there. Alrighty, we finally got her together with the springs up. No, I don't have American Flyer springs, but I did have some Lionel springs. But they didn't have this groove cut in them right here. So I took this little micro saw, put a groove in them, so I can put those in. I can drop the brush spring in them. And we got ourselves a new set of bushings in there. And yes, that's going to help a lot. We got this little fuzzy right here. We got to get him in the back over here. And we'll oil him up. We're going to get 2 screws in right here, a screw here, and a screw here. I don't remember taking that many screws out. I have to dig up an extra 1 or 3 because, yeah, it only had 3 screws holding it all together. So let me get those in there. Probably better assemble this with this diaphragm, this piston ready to go, like that. Threw a little oil on this big gear right here. We got all the wheels already lubed up. Put all the solders back in place. Gonna give this piston in here, gonna give her some Earl around it. Yeah, that's quite the deal there, ain't it? Oh, I forgot to give this little feller here a little Earl. This guy, I'll give this guy some. There's a lot going on in here. Perhaps when that piston, because it's wet right now, I don't know. It could just be shot. Shot too. I really hope for... You hear the motor more than anything. Here's the old brushes. That's what fell out, was this one. They got so short and then they got cockeyed in there and then just created havoc. We straightened this up real nice, but we gotta put it in a little better than it was. We've got the technology. We straightened up all the sheet metal all over the place. All of our tabs went right in. Polished this up a little bit. Now we're on to that whistling car. Some scubs on it. But we're back down to the same tabs on the end. These are fragile. I can see that this has been into a lot. Oh. What? Okay, this should be the DC thing that closes it, that makes it whistle, but it's got a reversing unit in it as well. Well, I've got to try to figure out how this works. Let's throw the juice to it. Let's get this in here so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, so we can get this to pick up the DC. Well, that is interesting. So it latches on. Well, fantastic. You can see the way this works, kind of like a reversing, like an E unit, a mechanical E unit, but it's not. It's like an on-off, on-off. We clean one of those up. I think if we clean up the pickups, the wheels, get some fresh brushes in it, clean it, lube it just like we have, I think we're going to be able to have it doing what it's kind of supposed to do. So, and we've already done that twice almost now. We don't really need to follow step by step, so I'm going to go ahead and just, I'll tell you when anything gets icky on it. This is all the stuff with the whistling car all taken apart. I've mostly cleaned it up. This looks like icky. A lot of this stuff here went into the ultrasonic. I did not ultrasonic this because I can see that it's painted. This, I don't know, the whistle horn, very nice. Aluminum, holy moly, is this thing built? Super cool. But it's just basically got the same motor in it. The armature, this is the DC solenoid right here to make the thing whistle, and this. So we've seen it on the Locomotive already. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this together and go from there. It's got good brushes because, yeah, it wasn't like on all the time. We'll clean these up, reuse those, and we'll give it a test. It's the exact same thing as the Loco, and it's the exact same thing as the tender. We've achieved success. Give her some juice and you give her a little whistle here. Can you believe it takes an entire car to do this? And now they can put a chugger and a whistler in the same thing. Loving that that's fixed. These bodies are coming out not that bad. I'm going to take the old turtle wax after them and just give them a wax and something to make them last for the next 85 years or 90 or whatever it is. We got all the operating cars operating. This is a non-operating car, and I see that the window material is flopping around and they're loose. So I'm going to take it apart and clean it and wax everything up, and then we'll be ready for the big reveal. Oh, look at this dent right there. Dang it. Well, this is disappointing. Here's the windows, and we're missing like this much of one of them. So then what's a guy do? Not run any, I suppose. Wonder where a guy could get something like this at. Hobby Lobby, I suppose. And then you sit around and cut it out real carefully and then put them back in. Yeah. Well, we can still wash it. I mean, oh, goodness. Clean it up. A little bit of a damp towel here. I seem to have lost my applicator. And just keep on keeping on. I spent 2 days oiling up that plunger in there. Just put some oil in it and I hung the thing hanging straight up and down so that would absorb, because it didn't make any noise at all after I got done cleaning it. There's the old puffer. Can you believe it? Now they use the same system, but they use this to make the smoke and the smoker too. Then we're curious if it makes any more noise with the body on. Sorta. Huh. seems to take a lot of power. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, this guy's not providing enough power to run all this. Holy moly. That chugger's just chugging away and the locomotive's barely moving. That was, I hoped for more. I can't believe how much amps that thing draws. Golly, them engineers need to be, I'm telling you, dang chugger tenders like, the thing's barely, oh, I might have to get a ZW out just to drive this thing up and down the track. My goodness. I got on the eBay looking for some pilot trucks and trailing trucks for that 556. And wouldn't you know it, there's a guy out there making them brand new ones. So I had to put the old button down there on the eBay, and I got some trucks coming in for it. For some reason, I thought I had trucks for this thing, and I didn't. And I only found that out after a day and a half of filming. So we might as well make it right instead of, putting some Lionel truck on there. Because that way the set might come in at worth $82 instead of only $75. It'll be money well worth spent. Some of these couplers, these link couplers, apparently they make a special tool out there to put them on, and I have to have it. The political advertising is going to be ending here in just like 3 days, I think. I gotta look at a calendar. It's right after Halloween, and they've been making like 9,000 ads per video, and then the damn YouTube bank account, it made money this month. yeah, unbelievable. So we're gonna buy some specialty tools for doing all this special work, so that way I can do a better job at it. It just seems like it's time. So we'll come back in with an update on this here. What kind of updates do we got? We got other updates too. I got lights over here on the back. The reason I got lights over here on the back, let me show you. The reasons I've got lights over here is because I stole the lights, those chicken coop warming lights over there. I stole them from over here because we got these fancy things. And wouldn't you know it, that these here do about the same job at 4 times the cost as my chicken warming lamps up there. Yeah, they got a color changing LED bulb in them, but other than that, unbelievable. Scared up some of these big fancy kind of looking lights right here too. Just jacked about it. So we just got the updates taking place all over the place over here. I'm gonna come back with this locomotive when we get all the stuff for it, because it doesn't have a coupler at the back of the tender, and I can't pull that pin because I don't have an arbor press or the special tools that it takes to put a new one on. We're gonna get the trucks in. So I guess I'm gonna end up having a video of just updates on all the stuff that I've been working on here. We got remagnetizer coming in, a Ron Dodd remagnetizer from England, Britain, Europe. I don't know what over there. So stay tuned for an update video on all these things that they get about 7/8 done, and then they never get finished. Our classic model of the week is Olivia Newton-John. I want to thank all the 33%ers out there for hanging out with us all. And I also want to thank all my channel members out there. Thank you so much for helping support the channel, for letting the channel grow. We're getting bigger and bigger, getting fancier and fancier. And it's like a dream that's coming true. Almost 3 years at this so far. So I'm Ron, Classic Model Trains. Bye-bye.